All right, what's up, Night fans? Welcome back to Night Shift, our third episode, and I don't know, maybe this will be a short one. Jeff Sharon, Jeremy Brenner joining you here on UCF's complete and total um destruction of UConn today. 56-21 was the final in a game that was no contest from the start. And we're going to be breaking that down. We got some stats, a little bit of highlights for you here on Night Shift. Make sure you follow us, of course, at blackandgoldbanneret.com for all the latest on all UCF sports. We've got our instant reacts already up there, which you can check out. You can also follow us on Twitter at UCF_Banneret and at Facebook.com/black and gold Banneret. So, well, Jeremy, this was, like we said, no contest whatsoever. You were there in the press box. Is this what UCF needed?
Yeah, UCF played this game for absolutely nobody except themselves. This game was not an entertaining game for the fans. UCF was not playing this game for Night Nation. No, UCF was not playing this game for Vegas, clearly, because it was a 42-point game and they didn't need it. But you know what?
Be.
You know what? A win is a win is a win is a win, and it's certainly better than what happened last week. I can tell you that. That's the thing. UCF played this game for nobody but themselves. They weren't, and that's what they needed. They needed this. And, I said this in our roundtable. UCF needs to utilize the punching bag that is in front of them. And they did that. And in the first half, and I won't even count the second half. I really don't think the second half happened just because it had to happen. In order for a football game to be played, you have to play 60 minutes. But this game was the first half. The first half, starters played only in the first half, and they played really well. Dylan Gabriel made, some mistakes, but was far better this week than he was last week. And Gabe Davis, 3 touchdowns. He probably is happy about that. Defense had many turnovers. I want to say they had 4 turnovers in that first half. So props to them on that.
Neville Clark's 4 turnovers plus 4 turnovers, I think, plus a turnover on downs.
Yeah. So they it's, you know what, you have these games in the schedule sometimes where you just got to play who's in front of you and just, win. And that's exactly what they did tonight.
Want to thank everyone for joining us in live tonight. Jessica Sheldon, Sir Epic. Now on to Cincinnati. He says, Michael Rutkowski, I'm hoping this is a joke. What is with our 4th string defense giving up those touchdowns? Sad. I'm like, dude, it's 4th string defense. The game was well in hand. UCF actually led 56-0 through the first 40 minutes. And pulling up the stats, which we're going to pull up right now, it was no contest. It was absolutely no contest. We thought heading into it that it would be no contest, but even I was surprised at the thoroughness of the beatdown that UCF gave UConn tonight. 607 yards of total offense for the Knights compared to 426 for UConn. But really, the game, what I want to show you here is the first half stats. If you look at right here, 42 points, 369 total yards to 160. UCF held it didn't
look at that time of possession though, Jeff.
Well, I mean, you're going to get that. I mean, that's the nature of the offense. That doesn't concern me. There were no concerns.
Yeah, there were no concerns. I was like, what does concern me then?
Yeah, UCF punted once. Average yards per play in the first half was 13.2 to 3.9. So UCF put 369 yards up on 28 offensive plays. That's going to get it done every time. I think Michael, what Michael's bringing up is the style points argument. 56-0 looks a lot better than 56-21. What are the voters going to say? And I keep telling everybody the same thing. You can't control that. So don't worry about it. Bottom line is, this is a conference win. And you're not getting anywhere. You're not going to any New Year's Six bowl game unless you win the conference. Okay. If Boise goes undefeated, Boise goes undefeated. You can't control that. They're not on the schedule. And there's no amount of style points UCF can score that will push them over Boise, because both the American and the Mountain West are basically viewed as the same kind of quality conference. If you're good, you're supposed to do. I mean, they are literally supposed to do to UConn what they did last night. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's where we are on this. Let's take a look at some of the highlights that we saw. And the defense, I thought, was really the key. We saw that first interception right there by Antoine Collier on UConn's first possession. It was pretty much off and running from there, as Dylan Gabriel was able to hand it off there to Greg McCrae for the touchdown and give UCF the early lead. This that was pretty much it. From there, another fumble on a strip. And UCF gets the ball, and we played 3.5 minutes, and UConn's turned the ball over twice. A little bit later, UCF actually did turn the ball over on downs in the first quarter, but this to me was probably the play of the day. Was Gabe Davis on this catch and run, going all the way and showing some real breakaway speed. And getting the hug from his grandpa over there. Did you see that? That was his grandfather.
I did not see that.
And his grandfather competed in that punt competition in the later on. And then Novell Clark with his first career. Yeah, that was his grandfather.
Oh,
Novell Clark with the pick six to make it 21-0. This is all still in the first quarter. Then the Knights get the ball back, and this is probably the other nominee for play of the day, with Adrian Killins just going up the middle and going 75 yards for a touchdown. That was an A-gap run. I mean, when does that ever happen?
Yeah.
That a guy breaks away on an A-gap run for
a lot of
75 yards and a touchdown.
You saw a lot of quick drives today, a lot of long plays. I think they had 3 plays over 70 yards today.
I think it was 13 chunk plays, they call them. Runs over 15, passes over 20. For UCF. Another turnover in the second, up 35-0 after another Gabe Davis touchdown catch. He had 3 touchdown catches on the day, 5 catches on 6 targets. Here was the third one from Dylan Gabriel, right on the money. Confusion in the Connecticut secondary. And I mean, you think about it, UCF had 42 points in 20 minutes, in the first 20 minutes of the game. A little bit later on, Jacob Harris. This actually did not result in a touchdown because UCF turned the ball over on downs on this possession. Still pretty solid. And then in the second half, Darryl Mack came in and looked pretty good. Got a touchdown pass here to Marlon Williams, which is, I believe, his second touchdown of the day. Is that right?
Pretty sure that was the first touchdown.
That was his first touchdown. Yeah, okay. Let me
he might have added a second one later.
Marlon scored only once. It was on that one. A little bit later, Benno Thompson scored to make it 56-0. And that was it. I mean, that was pretty much it. Here's UConn's first garbage touchdown. I mean, what do we think about it? I can't. I don't want to give this talking point any more oxygen than it already has, because it's ridiculous on its face. But is it? Does UCF somehow get hurt by giving up 3 garbage time touchdowns in the fourth quarter?
No, I don't. I actually don't believe so. The fact of the matter is, you got the win. I don't think, honestly, margin of victory, I think, plays a role, but it's not enough to move the needle so far to where it's going to hurt UCF. In terms of
it certainly doesn't move the needle against a team like UConn, which
might affect,
which is basically an FCS team now anyway.
Yeah, it might affect the top of the AP rankings. If Clemson wins by 1 against North Carolina and Alabama wins by 40 plus over Ole Miss, that might shift the. I don't think that this where UCF is in terms of what they're trying to accomplish out of the poll in their situation right now as a one-loss group of 5 team trying to get that group of 5 spot. It's not going to matter. The main thing that I believe they gained from in the second half is they didn't get hurt. And I think that's something that Heupel learned in the last time you had a garbage time, blowout like they did against FAMU. You lost Brandon Moore for the season. This week, he took no chances. Your team is healthy. You're on to Cincinnati. That's what matters here, not the fact that they gave up 21 points in meaningless garbage time.
So, again, 607 to 426, the total yardage today. UCF finished with 9.1 yards per play. Excuse me. It's late.
It's the night shift.
I know. We're here with you. I'm not drinking coffee. Don't forget that because I'm going to bed right after this. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Once again, Jeff Sharon here along with Jeremy Brenner. Thanks for staying up late with us to talk UCF and UConn. You were in the press box, right?
Mm-hmm.
I actually lucked out and sat in the stands as a fan just to take in the atmosphere. I like to go. So here's what I prefer to be in the press box, covering the game as media. I can't do that as much as I used to because I got 2 kids, and so you're in the press box with Brian Murphy. But once a year, I like to go to a game as a fan, just to take in the experience as a fan, see what's different, how it's different. I was truly amazed at the fan engagement in the game, even as much of a blowout as it was. There were quite a few people leaving at halftime, but obviously that's to be expected. I don't fault people for leaving at halftime at all. I don't think anyone should, especially a 56 nothing game.
Yeah.
It started at 7:00 at prime time. You got to get the kids home. I brought my daughter for the first time. She turns 2 next month. I brought her to the first UCF game tonight, and she had a good time. And that's really what this is about: is having a good time weekend with your friends and family. It was family weekend, and I think that the game day experience has been excellent. Excuse me. Ooh.
Yeah.
The game day experience is really excellent as a fan, and
even just walking up to the stadium. I walked up to the stadium probably about 6:15, about 45 minutes before kickoff, and I was just thinking, man, I would love to bring my dad to a game like this, and because my dad and I have this weird kind of thing. He went to Penn State, and he's not he's a football guy, but he's not really a football guy. We've never been to a college game together, and I was like, he would like this. He would find a way to like it. Like just the concert outside, just the atmosphere around. It was infectious, and I loved it. And it brought me back to and then I would see in the second half, the student section was half empty, but it was all those freshmen there just because, hey, we're freshmen in college. And it brought me back to being a college freshman, 3 years ago, and just being at those games. And it was just, it was nice to see because, you would think that after what transpired last week that, there might be a drop off here, but I don't think we saw a drop off tonight. It might not have, every seat in the stadium might not have been filled, but it was pretty good. I would say about 95% of the stadium was filled. It was
announced attendance was over 44,000.
That's perfect.
Tonight.
That's great.
Which is pretty good for a conference opener, yes, but against the doormat of a team, that the result was expected. And
it was also the first time.
I think actually the key to that was what I was impressed is it's coming off a loss.
Yeah.
I was worried about the fair weather fans not coming to the game after a loss, because we lost, but that's the way it used to be, right? Um, this fan base now has staying power, and I think that's key for UCF going forward. And now, oh, here's another point I wanted to make about the game itself. 56-21. This is basically an FCS game, a preseason game, um, as a warm up to the next game
We're
on
honest.
Friday night at Cincinnati, which is going to be a huge game. Might end up deciding the conference USA.
The
Man, I am tired. The East.
division. Yeah.
Excuse me. And as we look around the American, this was that's the national scoreboard, but obviously, if you were there, you saw Thursday night Memphis beating Navy. So Memphis is looks to be Memphis yet again. Look at what Temple did to Georgia Tech today, 24-2.
To 2. That's
Yeah,
safety.
with the SMU poleaxed USF today, 48-21, in Tampa. To me, that says more about SMU than it does about USF. I mean, already what can be said about USF that hasn't already been said? They are really struggling right now. SMU looks scary good now.
They're a real contender in the West.
Yeah, they are going to be a problem. And I mean, looking at this game, he's 5-0. They are 5-0, man. The Mustangs, it's going to be something to look at. Cincinnati beat up on Marshall 52-14 earlier today. ECU beat Old Dominion by 3. Old Dominion's a good football team. And Houston, check on the stats on Houston. That game probably might be over. Let's see here.
I'm pulling it up too. Houston won 46-25.
Yeah, 46-25 finals. So, and that was in Denton at North Texas. So
Denton, Texas.
Just outside of Dallas, for those who are wondering. So there's your updated scoreboard right there. Thursday we got Temple and ECU, and then Friday double dip on ESPN and the American on Thursday and Friday during the weekdays. UCF and Cincinnati at 8:00 on Friday. That's going to be a huge game. I want to look at ahead to Cincinnati because we don't have their score. A lot of blowouts today, by the way. We'll look at the national scoreboard in depth.
Ohio State made Nebraska look silly too.
Oh boy, yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that because, man, Scott Frost, dude. I know there's a lot of ill will towards Scott Frost amongst certain sectors of the UCF fan base, which I understand it, but I don't understand it. I mean, he single-handedly turned this program around and dragged it into the 21st century. I've talked to Scott Frost a couple times, a truly genuine guy who the only school he loves more than UCF is Nebraska because he went there.
Mm-hmm.
And to see them struggling so mightily is just not what he ever wanted to see for his alma mater. It's tough, man. Go ask Harbaugh.
Granted, they did play Ohio State.
Harbaugh.
Could very well find themselves in the Final Four. So.
This was supposed to be Nebraska's chance to show everybody that they're here, and they just laid an egg. Cincinnati right now is 3-1. Their only loss being a 42-0 loss at Ohio State. I guess Ohio State's pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
They beat UCLA this year. They beat Miami of Ohio. And they've got UCF on this Friday. So both teams actually come into this pretty fresh, healthy, and ready for this this East Division showdown. This is going to be a tough game for UCF. I wanted to see also, we talked about SMU, how they're 5-0. There you go. Arkansas State, Texas. A little bit soft there in the beginning, but then they beat TCU last week and then whitewashed USF today in Tampa.
They could find themselves in the top 25 next week. They're
They
just
should
on
be
the
in the top
outside.
25.
I don't know if they are. I don't know if they have enough teams in the top 25 that have lost this week, so they might not be able to move up. But they'll certainly get a lot of votes, and they'll be if they don't make the top 25, they'll be close.
Well, let's take a look. Kansas State is losing right now to Oklahoma State. They're going to lose that game down 2 scores. Utah and Washington State are playing now, and by the way, Kansas State's 24th. So
yeah, Oklahoma State though is one of the 2 teams that received more votes than SMU did that didn't get ranked. So Oklahoma State will likely take that spot in the rankings.
Yeah. Earlier today, starting at the top, Clemson won by 1 at North Carolina. Carolina at home went for a 2-point conversion in the win and failed. I can't believe they would do that.
I don't hate that call still. I really don't.
I get it, but the rule of thumb is usually if you're at home, you try and tie the game because you have home field, and then on the road you try and steal the win with the 2-point conversion. It's just, I was perplexed by that call by Mac.
It's Mac Brown.
Bama won big. Ohio State won big. Oklahoma won big. Let's see. Auburn won big. Wisconsin took
2 defensive touchdowns.
Florida for some reason played Towson. Notre Dame took care of Virginia. Iowa won. Washington, USC, I think was last night. Was that right?
I believe so. Yes.
I think.
No, it was today.
Michigan over. It was today. Okay.
Yeah.
I forget what was the Pac-12 game that was on last night. I forget. Oh, here it is.
Arizona State. Cal. So
Cal 15th in the country. They suffer their first loss. Penn State beat Maryland. Texas A&M. I watched this game before I went to the game today. Texas A&M. Those 2 teams are pretty evenly matched. I thought
it was a good game. It was a good game. I thought it too. Yeah.
Michigan State beat Indiana by 9. And yeah, that's pretty much it right there. So, is there room for in the top 25 for SMU? I think so, especially with Kansas State looking to probably.
I think
dive out. We'll see.
They'll be close if they don't get in. It'll be real close.
Boise State, for those of you wondering about the Group of 5 race, is off this week. They did not play. I'm watching right now. Utah State leads Colorado State 34-24, although Utah State has a loss on it. Ooh, I did it again. Let's see. Appalachian State. What did they do today?
They won.
They did not play. Let's see what I'm saying. Let's check the Sun. I can't remember if they're in CSA or Sun Belt, and I should remember.
I'm pretty sure they played because I definitely saw. I think they had a rain delay in their game.
Oh yeah, they were in the Sun Belt. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
56-37 over Coastal Carolina. They're 4-0. So, something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. As far as the American is concerned, though, I mean, having SMU at 5-0, man, it's just I don't know. There's something about that team that makes me a little nervous in the way they're doing it. But nonetheless, got to give them credit. But credit to UCF for getting it done and getting that win 56-21. Here's the official box from the game, and you see. There it is, 5:48 to go. 40 minutes into the game, it's 56-0. So, once again, this is Night Shift. Jeff Sharon, Jeremy Brenner. We're going to have a little bit shorter episode today than we normally would because A, it's late, and B, like, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah, I mean,
but we
kind of how I felt about it.
Yeah, we are taking your questions on our YouTube channel. Thanks to everyone who's watching. Send in your questions to us right now in the YouTube comments. We'll go ahead and answer them as best we can. Comment from CC: we should have won by 100. Well, we probably could have if it wasn't for the fact actually that Randy Edsall's actually a good guy. and a class dude, and Josh Heupel's a class dude, and they're not going to do it, not going to do anything like that. But the game was well in hand. This was not a contest. And I think back to earlier matchups between these two teams, and it still astonishes me that UCF lost 2 straight to UConn in the middle part of this decade.
Mm-hmm.
In 14, and I mean 15 was a disaster. I mean UCF wasn't going to beat anybody that year, but in 14, I still scratch my head at that. But in all but I believe this is the 4th UCF win over UConn,
Mm-hmm.
and UCF has scored 49 or more points in 3 of them.
Hasn't been much of a civil conflict.
No. By the way, did you see? Did they find the trophy?
Oh, I'm sure you can create a story and then it will show up.
No, I'm being serious.
You have to look into the mirror and say "Kumbaya" like 3 times.
Didn't Andrew Fegley find the trophy though? Did you see that?
I didn't. I mean,
okay. Let's pull this up.
We should task our. If it hasn't been found, we should task our readers and our viewers to come up with what happened to the trophy.
Where was this? Someone needs to tell me where this was.
Background. Where was this? That'd be a great fan fiction.
I mean, seriously? Did a UCF fan make a new one?
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Because if they did, that's a remarkably great, amazing.
It is a great trophy. I would love to. I would love to be able to create that or to afford it. That looked like it cost a lot of money.
Elo just chimed in. He says it was a replica fake trophy.
Yeah, but was the civil conflict really real either? Fake trophy for a fake rivalry?
It was a replica fake rivalry. Question from Sir Epic. Whoever you are, Sir Epic. Who becomes our main challenger in the East, and who are the 2 teams to battle in the West for that division title? Great question. I want to pull up the standings here and take a look at them real quick while we have the opportunity. To me, it's Cincinnati.
I have still. It's hard to come up with an argument for anyone other than Cincinnati. Maybe you can
make an argument for Temple, but they haven't played a conference game yet. I mean, if they're good enough to hold Georgia Tech to 2 points, I mean, I know Georgia Tech's not Georgia Tech, but I mean, I think that Temple team is going.
And UCF has to go to Philadelphia later in the season anyway.
Right.
It could be any of those. It could be either of those 2 teams. I'm leaning more towards Cincinnati, though. I think that they are a better matchup for UCF. I think that they're more likely to beat UCF. I just think that their offense is a little more prolific, and they can actually keep up with UCF. I don't think that Temple necessarily has the offense to be able to keep up with UCF's offense if UCF's offense is on all cylinders when we face Temple in Philadelphia later in the season.
In the West, I think it's really a 3-horse race between these 3 teams that you see right here.
Well, there's only one horse in that race, and that's SMU. And then there's a Tiger and whatever Tulane is. Green Wave.
The Angry Wave, the greatest logo.
The Angry Wave.
So all right, let's check on when they play each other here because I want to see. All right, so this is Tulane's schedule. They are at Memphis, and they finish at SMU.
That's not good for Tulane.
That's going to be right. They also got to go to Navy. That's never easy. Memphis, we should keep an eye on because they're at ULM. They beat Navy. That was a big win for them on Thursday. They have to play at ULM next week, and then they restart conference play at Temple. I always look at the road games. That Temple game is the toughest road game. They do have Tulane at home. That's going to be a big game on the 19th.
Yeah, that's the MU at home.
That's going to be like the first elimination game, I think, in the West. Home for SMU, so they do get that. They're at Houston, at USF. That's a big break for them unless one of these 2 teams heats up, which I don't know what we're going to get from Houston now. And then they're home, and then they're at Cincinnati, or excuse me, home for Cincinnati to finish up the season. And then
I think that Tulane has the offense to keep up with SMU and Memphis, but I don't know if their defense is enough. And also, I think that it should count for like the coaches and in terms of their experience playing in high pressure situations. And I think that Memphis with Coach Norvell has the upper hand there. So if I would say that SMU is the more talented team out of the three, but I think if I had to pick a team that I think will represent the West in the conference championship, it would be Memphis.
I'm going to give SMU the upper hand, and here's why.
Okay.
Notice who they don't play.
UCF.
That's right. So they can focus on Memphis. That's true. You know what? Then change my mind. Let me give Memphis the edge, and I'll tell you why.
Here.
There you go. No, you're right. You brought that up. I'm so used to UCF and Memphis.
Yeah, exactly. We played like 5 times in the last 3 seasons.
I know. Four times in the last 2.
4 times in the last 2. Yep. And UCF is 4
on the schedule. And check this out. They get Tulane and SMU at home.
That's key.
That's big. Yeah, they got to go to Temple, but at Tulsa, at Houston, at USF. And they get Cincinnati at home.
Does SMU have to go to Temple? Or do they play Temple? Or did we I totally forgot. We have to go to this.
Let me find out. It's a good thing this information is available for us at our fingertips. They said, does SMU play Temple?
Yeah, they do.
Have Temple at home.
Okay.
On the 19th. Coming off of a bye week, by the way.
So that favors SMU.
Yeah, definitely.
But also, I think the thing is that it could very well come down to that one game, November 2nd, SMU at Memphis, and that could be the one game that decides the AAC West.
Or will it? Because Memphis plays Cincinnati in the final week of the season.
Oh, okay.
And SMU plays Tulane.
That's
we don't know.
It's the beauty of college football. And every team is in it this year. And it seems like there's more teams in the hunt this year, especially at least in the West this year than in years past. So it's going to be fun second half of the season. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Good question, Sir Epic. Appreciate you. CC asks a few questions. What's up with the fans not staying? It was 56-0 after the first 40 minutes of the game, man. Do you think Mac will regain QB1? No. He is the backup. He will be the backup. I think the more interesting question is going to be what happens at the end of this year.
Yeah. Something that I think is important to bring up in regards to the quarterback situation, though. Brandon Wimbush was warming up with the wide receivers today.
Yeah, he was.
That is something.
He did take one snap at quarterback, though, I think.
Yeah,
is that right?
So that was because Daryl Mack's helmet came off, and he was
we had to leave for a play.
Brandon Wimbush came in, one pass completed for -1 yard. So, Jeff, you've had more passing yards in this game than Brandon Wimbush did. Prolific quarterback, Jeff Sharon.
Not a question, but seeing Pitt struggle with Delaware makes last week even worse. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that last week
they weren't motivated. They weren't motivated.
For those of you that didn't see, Pitt played Delaware at home and won by a late touchdown. UCF it was what Bill Simmons calls the no effing way game. Okay, are you familiar with this term?
I'm not, but now I am.
All right.
I will be.
It comes from for all of you video game people out there. You're playing Madden. You're playing in season mode. You can be on like rookie mode or whatever, but the computer always gives you one game where just like every time you carry the ball, you fumble. Every pass you throw gets intercepted. It's just the computer's AI determines for this one game in your regular season, there's no effing way you're going to win it. And that was our no effing way game. I'm not all that worried about it. And then last question from CC: did you like Heupel's play calling this week? Well, we got 600 plus total yards. Let's pull up those stats again.
I didn't hate
56
it.
points, 42 in the first half. Yeah, we did fine. The play calling was fine. I mean, it's. I want to get into this conversation a little bit more about play calling because fans always complain about play calling. And like we saw last week with the 4th and 2 that UCF missed, if a play doesn't work, more often than not, it's not because of poor play calling. Okay, Josh Heupel's been calling plays since he was the quarterback at Oklahoma. He actually had the license to call plays in that offense.
Did he have it in his wallet with his student ID?
He had the little wristband, but what it comes down to an astonishing degree, and I think a degree that fans don't even realize, it's just play-to-play execution. We saw it on the 4th and 2. Dylan Gabriel had a read option. He handed it right to McCray. If he decides to keep the ball and go off tackle if UCF scores, and probably wins the game. That's not a play calling problem. That's an execution problem. It happens here as well. Yeah, I wish that, yeah, sure. I mean, you can question, for example, going for a 4th down when maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you go kick a field goal or something like that. Situational stuff but that's not play calling. That's not run versus pass. And passing wise, I mean, UCF ran for 230 yards, 6.2 per carry. And the three quarterbacks combined passed for 377 yards and 4 touchdowns on 21 completions. So I think the play calling's fine. I wouldn't worry about it. Send us more questions though. Here on Night Shift, we're approaching the 40-minute mark. Eric Lopez has an update for us on that conflict trophy. He says Jerry Daniels got a replica. Apparently, that's really what happened. They had a replica made. The things radio stations do for more attention. It's really hilarious.
We should make one. We should make a replica.
Yeah, we should make one. So once again, just to remind you, we are blackandgoldbanneret.com, UCF_banneret on Twitter, and of course, Facebook.com/blackandgoldbanneret. UCF gets the 56-21 win over UConn. Jeff Sharon and Jeremy Brenner joining you here. Let me drop the 2-shot on you here, JB. There you go.
More of our faces.
There you go. And just breaking down UCF's victory over UConn here on Night Shift. We're probably going to go on for just a few more minutes here. This will be a pretty short one. Last week we went an hour and a half. This week we went one. Yeah. But we'll keep it going as long as we get questions from you guys on any aspect of the game that you want. Thanks, by the way, for watching. I want to thank Jessica. I want to thank CC. I want to thank Sir Epic. Apparently, Lopez is joining us from afar, unable to join us live this week, but watching. Thanks to Michael Rutkowski also for joining us tonight, too. Really appreciate you guys staying up late with us after this win. Utah State beat Colorado State today, I just saw. And
Go Aggies.
Right now, I'm watching Nevada and Hawaii.
Where are you watching all this?
Hawaii is up. This is on ESPN2. Right after our game, they went to Nevada. Hawaii is up 28-0 in the second quarter.
They're
doing to Nevada in Reno.
It's the Rainbow Warriors.
What we did to UConn. Maybe not quite that. But here's the story with that game that I thought was interesting. The Hawaii, this game in Utah in Reno, it's 39 degrees and it's snowing.
Wait, what?
It's snow.
It's snowing. Right now, it's 39 degrees.
right now it's a wintry mix, but it's going to get colder and actually turn to snow
See,
in
I don't understand that.
in Reno today. So mark your
Yeah.
count. It's September 28th, and we're getting winter weather in Nevada and Hawaii. Okay,
Yeah, why is playing in the
Hawaii
snow?
is
That's
beating
great.
Nevada 28
That's great.
nothing
Yeah,
in
they should be ranked for that reason
in
alone.
freezing rain. In freezing rain,
Mhm.
unbelievable. College football is the best. Comment from Sir Epic. The student entrance was much better handled than the previous game. Yeah, they did a good job with that.
Yeah, so apparently they added this new feature where, or I don't even know if it was like a feature they just added or was earlier in the season, but they have like these fast passes. They took a play out of Disney's playbook and they were like, oh, if you buy this
That
fast
Disney
pass,
sponsorship paying off, right?
you buy this fast pass $30, you can go in the fast lane and you can get into the game a lot quicker.
Is it $30 per game
No, it's $30 for the season. My
for
roommate
the
got it.
season? Okay,
And he was
that's
like,
smart.
he was well, he's only, I mean, there's only 4 games left and he'll be out of town for the Black Friday game. So it's $10 a game, but it's probably worth it, honestly.
Yeah, that's a smart move. And they had refreshments for everybody who had to wait to get in
Stay
to those
hydrated.
student entrances, so that's good. So that
Perfect.
was solid. A great job by Danny White and the crew getting that done. Jessica, we're lucky to have a freshman quarterback like Dylan. He gets better every week. See, I go back to that. I still look at him as like, I still see him as kind of like Mackenzie Milton in his freshman year in 16. You could see the talent. Bless you. You
Excuse me.
can see
Thank
the
you.
talent, but he's just so raw. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like I want another spring and another summer in that offense.
Imagine him in his senior year, honestly. Like,
Yeah, if he even gets that far, if
yeah.
if what he's doing
Imagine
continues to
next
be
year.
what it is. Yeah, I mean next year it could be crazy. I'm watching the highlights of Clemson and North Carolina. Mac went for 2 with a minute 17 to go, and they ran an option and it didn't work, and Clemson strung it out.
It's, I mean, look, we've seen a lot of 2-point conversions for the win lately. I've seen it like several times
Don't
in
do it
the
at home, man.
NFL and in college.
Don't do it at home. Do it on the road. Sir Epic, just ignore last week. Yeah, that's.
Would you agree with that though, Jeff? If
I don't think you
UNC won,
ignore it.
if that play goes well and UNC wins, they beat the number 1 team in the country.
Mm-hmm.
What would you still agree with that?
Would I still agree with what?
With
the call?
going for 2 on the road and going for 1 on home?
No, I wouldn't agree with that. I would not agree with that. I would be like, it lucked that now that's different than did it work out? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but that doesn't.
You know what would happen if you went for 1?
Something works doesn't mean it's the right call.
Yeah. The thing is, if he went for 1, what would have happened was Trevor Lawrence would have brought his team down the field. They would have kicked the field goal with time remaining, and then they would have been like, why didn't you go for 2? Why didn't you go for 2? You could have won the game with 2. They would have done the same thing. It was just
that wouldn't have mattered though, because even if they kicked an extra point and it was tied, they would have kicked.
Yeah. It's like you
can
never win. You can never win against Clemson. You just never do it.
No. But I would have liked to have seen Trevor Lawrence in a 2-minute situation.
Yeah, I'll say this: Trevor Lawrence has not been as sharp as I think a lot of people expected. Maybe he's just saving it up for the second half of the season, but Heisman candidate, I would put him much further down than a lot of people.
Who would you? I was thinking about this earlier. Jalen Hurts had a very good game. And
first interception.
I think Joey Connors knocked some sense into Joe Burrow of LSU on New Year's Day, because Joe Burrow is lighting it up for LSU, man.
Well, Joe Burrow didn't play today.
Those two guys, I think, are the top Heisman candidates, and everyone's going to say, "Oh, Tua." If I had a ballot, I'd put Tua third right now between those two guys.
In no particular order, it's Tua, Hurts, Burrow, and Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, Jonathan Taylor.
I think, honestly, you can make an argument, for any of those 4 guys.
Do we do preview shows, CC asks. Yes, but not on video. What you want to do, CC, and this goes to everybody, is hop on blackandgoldbanneret.com. We have our podcast that you can listen to during the week. Usually comes out on Thursday mornings. We recorded on Wednesday nights. It comes out Thursday. It'll drop in your feed Thursday morning. So and we previewed. Actually, to give you an example of this game, we actually, and even if the game is over, I'd still recommend you download it because our guest was Aman Kidwai from our sister SB Nation site, the UConn blog. We talked a little bit about football, but a lot about, or the game rather, but a lot about the future of UConn football and UConn athletics, really, vis-a-vis UCF. Because, like we said, this is something that, and I want us to wrap by talking about this, is, UConn's leaving the conference after this year. So the conference is going to look a little bit different in 2020.
Trails to you.
Yeah. They're going to become an FBS independent, and move all of their other sports into the Big East Conference. It was actually not the old Big East. It's actually a new conference that was formed by the Catholic schools in the Big East that didn't play football and played only basketball. And the American Athletic Conference, the current conference that UCF is in, actually sold them the name rights and the basketball tournament at Madison Square Garden. Sold that to those schools to make a little scratch when the conference was struggling to stay on its feet after all those schools left. Because technically, the American is still in the genealogy tree. It's still the Big East, the old Big East.
Keep in mind, USF was the number 2 team in the country once in the Big East. That was a thing, Jeff Sharon. That was a thing.
I know. I did a study on it, and I compared UCF to USF from the date after they were ranked number 2. Because remember, they beat UCF, and then they were ranked number 2 2 days later.
Wow.
And the difference has been rather stark. Yeah. UCF has a better record than USF in that period of time. So what do we make of UCF against UConn? There have been some rumors, Jeremy, about UConn being an independent. Perhaps some phone calls being traded between UCF and UConn about scheduling in the future. With UConn being an independent, needing some games, and UCF needing some games too on the future schedule. What do you think about that? Should UCF schedule UConn in the future?
The civil conflict must live on. Yes.
It's long lived.
Look, it makes sense for UCF to schedule. It makes sense for UConn to schedule UCF. It's hopefully in the future a top 25 program that can continue to be as such. And for UCF, hey, it's another chance to add another win on your schedule.
Yeah. Well, it's
hopefully
they would play. I think they would play the part of like the FAMU and Bethune and South Carolina State. Basically, treat them like an FCS school and play the first game of the season against them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
They're not an FCS school
by that,
but they can be treated as such.
Yeah. So, but nonetheless, if nothing else, the conference mates phase of UCF and UConn has come to a conclusion. So before we go, wanted to show you a couple things we got going on blackandgoldbanneret.com. Instant reaction is up. You can check back on our live thread. You can also check Brian Murphy's checklist. We got a lot more coming. Jeremy, you're going to be following the NFL guys tomorrow?
Yep. Blake Bortles is throwing 4 touchdowns tomorrow. Jared Goff is going to take a seat on the bench. Quarterback controversy in LA. I can guarantee it.
That's not actually happening, is it?
Only one way to find out. You got to watch football tomorrow.
People are now turning their attention to their fantasy football teams. You need to stop spreading rumors. Don't forget to check out the Black and Gold Banneret podcast with me, Eric Lopez, and Brian Murphy. Last week we had a lot of stuff going on. Here's the latest podcast, obviously, with Aman Kidwai. we had a really good week of content here for you. We looked at the TV ratings from last week, which Eric Lopez likes to do. Questions around the kingdom from Luke Saris, a new segment that he's trying out, where he get people ask him questions. Don't forget, for the Olympic sports, we have 3 stars in the nightcap. Nightcap keeps you updated on what all the other UCF sports did, and we delve into 3 stars. Eric Lopez does that, where we give some props to some of the Olympic sports athletes who don't get their name called very often elsewhere in the media. We pay attention to all UCF sports here on blackandgoldbanneret.com, not just football and basketball and baseball. But we had a 3-star who, one of our 3 stars a couple weeks ago, was on the cross-country team. So, and of course, breaking news as it happens here on blackandgoldbanneret.com. Do not forget, also, we have our very first T-shirt. Thanks to our friends at Breaking Tea. Guess what? UCF went 1-0 this week.
First time in
celebrate that
days.
with
It's been a while.
And you can celebrate that with our Orlando 1-0 T-shirt. Thanks again to Haley for who created the hashtag that we based the shirt on. We sent her a T-shirt, as you can see. So cheers to Haley on that. That's what it looks like. Thanks to our friends at Breaking Tea. We've got them available right now. So make sure you go to blackandgoldbanneret.com. The link is up there to check out our very first T-shirt. And keep an eye out for, obviously, we had the instant reaction from earlier today. We will have, Brian Murphy will have his checklist breakdown, and lots more to come. We'll take a look at the TV ratings on ESPN2, which probably took a dive after UCF jumped up so quickly. But nonetheless, it'll be interesting to take a look at that. There were a lot of blowouts tonight, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, Ohio State just whitewashed Nebraska. That was
college game day.
That was sad. So yeah, and keep an eye out for what's going on around the American as well. So next week, UCF against Cincinnati. It's a Friday night. We'll probably go live after that game on Friday as well. And we'll see. I don't know, man. We'll just this now sets up to be the big game. This is bigger than Pitt. This is bigger than Stanford. It's UCF has to win this game in order to keep pace in the East and make sure that they keep pace amongst the rest of the American as well, to try and stay undefeated in conference in the attempt to get that New Year's 6 bowl bid. So final thoughts for you, Jeremy Brenner.
A win is a win is a win, and we're on to Cincinnati. Next week, what I want to see from Dylan Gabriel and the offense is I want a much faster start than what we got in Pittsburgh. And I think that's going to be the key. I think whichever team can strike first and whichever team can, get the ball rolling in the beginning is who's going to get the win. I think that's the big key for UCF. I think they gained a lot of confidence back from tonight, and I hope that they can use it, translate it into what will hopefully be another 1-0 outing in Cincinnati on Friday night.
All right. So, and as we wrap up, we did get one last question that we're going to get in our final thoughts. And, we've gone on and on about this on the record, especially on our podcast. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to our podcast at blackandgoldbanneret.com, you should. One last question from Jake Speed. Do you think we will get into a Big 5 conference? Yeah, I do believe that. But the question that we have to ask is, what will that look like? It's not a meritocracy. Okay, it's not like the English Premier League where you get promoted or demoted based on the overall quality. It all comes down. What it comes down to is, wouldn't it be cool?
Yeah.
What it all comes down to is revenue. How much revenue do you produce? Okay, and I'm going to tie it back to tonight's game for an example. How much revenue do you produce as a school is the biggest thing that factors in to these calculations about whether they can add a school or not. Okay. What UCF has to prove is that if any conference adds them, be it the Big 12, be it something else, that when they join, they bring more value to the other teams in the league rather than less value when you split that revenue pie up. Okay. So in UCF's case, what we saw tonight was a good example of how, yes, UCF can bring that level of value to a bigger conference. And what do I mean by that? It's a conference game, right? Coming off of a loss against a weak opponent, primetime game. Okay? Still sold out the place. 44,000. Okay? And that comes down to the fans. If you want UCF to get into one of the big conferences, it comes down to you guys. You got to show up to the games.
Showed out tonight.
You got to show up not just to football, but to the other sports too. Because what these other schools in these big conferences say is, are really good at is, look at the SEC, look at the Big 10, look at the Big 12. They take what we call the non-revenue sports. That's your volleyball, your soccer, your softball. They take the non-revenue sports and they turn them into revenue sports. They turn them into businesses that make them money, right? Florida sells out all their softball games and their volleyball games. All right. In the Big 12 is a big volleyball conference. Has been for years. Okay. They sell out those gyms like crazy. And people watch on TV. Okay. In the Big 12, also, softball is very big. And those places all sell out. Baseball, those places sell out. So what it comes down to is you, the fans. Do you go to the games? And when you don't go to the games, do you watch on TV? Because they see these numbers, man. It is a mathematical equation. And UCF fans have been very good about it to this point, but we still have a lot to prove in the coming years. So tonight was a good step in that. Could have been easy for everybody to not show up, right? But when people turned on ESPN2 at the start of that game, that place was rocking. Doesn't matter that half the people left at halftime.
Yeah.
What matters is that stadium looked awesome on TV, and there's a bunch of kids in Topeka, Kansas, who tune into UCF on ESPN2 because UCF's their new favorite team, and they see all those fans for a boring conference game against a bad opponent, and they see that place jumping and shaking and hollering. So that's what makes the biggest difference. So Jake Speed, if you're wondering what that is, that's what the equation is. Keep showing up. Keep going. If we play P5 opponents regularly, stands will be packed, says CC. I'm sorry, but it can't just be Power 5 opponents. The stands should be packed for every game. I don't care if you're playing Gallaudet University or is it in DC? I think it's in DC. I don't care
make
if
that
you're
up for all I
playing,
know.
Little Sisters of the Poor, Mount Union.
I do know that one. Cecil Short's third,
or Florida. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You got to show up to the games because that's what matters to the executives who make these decisions. All right.
All right.
Sure, we'd love to see UCF play more Power 5 teams to see how UCF stacks up against them. But for you, the fans, and for us, the fans, it shouldn't matter who they're playing. You show up because you're not interested. You don't want to see the opponent. You want to see UCF.
I want to see your guys.
Yeah, you want to see your guys play. So with that, we're going to call it quits for Night Shift tonight. Jeremy, thank you.
Thank you.
So once again, follow us at blackandgoldbanneret.com for all the latest. We are UCF's home on SB Nation. Follow also our friends at sbnation.com. Follow us on Twitter at UCF_Banneret. You can follow me at Jeff_Sharon, and you can follow Jeremy at Jeremy Brenner. You can also follow us if Facebook is your jam. That's totally cool. Facebook.com/blackandgoldbanneret. So that'll do it for us tonight on Night Shift. Thanks to everyone who joined. For Jeremy, I'm Jeff. Thank you so much for watching. Time to go to bed, man. UCF gets a win, 1-0 in conference. Go, but go 1-0, right?
Tonight's charge on.
4-1 on the 4-1 in the season, heading into that big game Friday night at Cincinnati. Should be a big week of prep for UCF. And we'll be with you every step of the way here on blackandgoldbanneret.com. Thanks for watching.